We have broken the back of the Cardassian insurrection, and our forces are now in the process of re-establishing direct military control over the Union. We do have one piece of unfinished business remaining. Gul Kentar, the leader of the insurrection, fled the Battle of Cardassia before we could end his miserable life. He apparently took refuge in the uninhabited Hurix system, located at the fringe of the Union. After persuading a captured Cardassian officer to divulge Gul Kentar's plans, we now know why. It is in the Hurix system that the Cardassians have hidden their main quantum singularity research facility. While that facility remains operational, the possibility exists that the Cardassians could once again use this technology against us. By striking now, we can eliminate both that cowardly Patak Kentar and the Cardassians' ability to bring Species 8472 into our galaxy. It shall be a glorious victory.
Chancellor, Gul Kentar is hailing us.
Open a channel.
Martok, you predictable old fool. I knew you would pursue me here to finish the job you started. Your Klingon sense of honor and duty would not let you do otherwise. But I am ready for you. My Armada stands at the ready, and I shall have my revenge for the Cardassian people.
Those are bold words, Kentar, but hollow ones. It is you who brought this war upon your people, and it is you who bear the responsibility for their deaths. I shall enjoy killing you, Kentar, and when I display your broken body for all of Cardassia to see, it will be a good day. Prepare for battle!
Hey guys, welcome to the final Klingon mission of Star Trek Armada 2 and mission 20 overall, and we are chasing down Gul Kentar and his quantum singularity research station. We started off in a okay position here, but as you can see the map's pretty huge, so we're going to have to get a bit of a move on here, and you will also notice that we don't have any access to metal at the moment. We have a rather big stash of metal, being 12,500 of it, but that'll run out sooner or later, so I'm going to get my skates on here a little bit and just build a couple of research facilities and see what's what in the surrounding area. Try and get up to speed ASAP. This mission, again, like the previous mission, comes in a few parts. The map is divided, and the first idea will be to try and secure the top sort of third of the map so that we can work in peace away from the Cardassians, and then once we've done that we will expand into the bottom of the map and take out the Cardassian research facility. Hopefully this time we'll be able to avoid any dreadnought missiles unlike the previous mission where they came back to haunt me. Also, from that pre-mission monologue, didn't you kind of get the idea that Martok's kind of a dick? It's like, yeah, we've enslaved your people, well, kind of enslaved your people, but we've occupied your home world, and when you tried to fight back, we bombed a shed load of it into oblivion, so it's your fault. I'm not quite sure that'd 100% work in a court of law, and certainly not on charges of, say, war crimes, Martok, but I suppose history's written by the winners and all, so let's get to it. Get that dilithium moon fully saturated and let's see what we find. We've got the Latinum Nebula down here, which will serve us for a little bit, and we've also got a couple of planets that I've seen here, so we can at least get some metal off those and also get some crew, because we're going to need crew as well if we're going to expand. I'm going to go same old with this. I have mentioned on a few occasions of why I don't really like building Jackeng super weapons. Huge cost and need to be used very well to get even remotely appropriate payback from them. And I'm going with the standard start here of getting some Vulture-class ships in case the Cardassians decide to try and interfere with us early. And also because at the moment I am one basing, so I just do not have the I don't have the resources to be able to go ahead and build out an advanced shipyard at this point in time. And to be honest, I might not for some time. I might end up building K-Rals instead of Navars for at least a little bit of time. Well, let's get the Greythor Armory down. And I'm going to research Polaron Torpedo for my Vulture-class attack cruisers as well. I would use other ships if I felt that they were anywhere near as useful, but they're just not. And my Vulture-class ships here are deciding to not react quickly to these Cardassian ships, and my shipyard's under fire at this point, which isn't great. And my shipyard's losing its shields. Why aren't my ships being quicker about this?
For the Empire.
Boy, those galores can really take a pounding, even from birds of prey, etc. And they're just concentrating exclusively on my shipyard. Man, that sucked.
Excellent plan. Go there.
Now, the best move for me at this point would more than likely be to just disassemble that shipyard and rebuild it, because as you can see everything's offline. So I think I make a bit of a mistake here. Rather than just disassembling and rebuilding it, I decide to try and salvage a bad situation, shall we say, and I don't think that works to my advantage at all. So if you are in this situation in the future, I would recommend just disassembling and rebuilding. I don't think that this is a great way to go about things. Well, got that research ship.
They do not stand a chance.
Sorry, I think that's a repair ship, a Cardassian repair ship.
We have a new ship for the
And we're back to trying to fix this broken mess. At least I'm mining Latinum, so I can build the Imperial Research Facility, which will allow me to get repair ships, which will at least kind of speed up the recovery, but it seems like a bit of a weird angle to go down. As you can see, I'm building K-Rals here. I don't really want to put in the resources necessary to build a fleet of Navars at this point, and K-Rals will do just fine in the meantime. Obviously I'm one Latinum short, so I have to sell another 100 dilithium. But that will be the Imperial Research Facility going down as well. That will allow us to build repair ships and Navars, and it will allow us to upgrade the fleet as well.
I thirst for battle.
And there's the first group of ships that I've got. Now, just a group of Vultures and K-Rals.
Enough resources.
And as you can see, my scouts have been doing their job, and I've found 3 or 4 planets and another dilithium moon, so we're going to have to secure that somewhat. And off goes my fleet. And as you can see, I've used like 4,000 crew trying to keep this thing alive.
A battle has begun.
And I don't have the dilithium to build a metal factoring facility. And now here come the Cardassians again, and my shipyard's going to get blown sky high here. Here we go. Unfortunate for me, but fortunately my K-Rals and Martok have managed to get over here in time in order to save my Latinum freighters. And am I going to lose a K-Ral, or is it going to survive? Oh, it looks like it's going to survive. Of course the Cardassians attacked then just as my fleet was going away, so bit of a nightmare on that front. But the Imperial Research Facility is now built, and as you can see, whoops, no shipyard. So I've cost myself some money there, but I'm going to rebuild it in a sensible place back here, so that the Cardassians cannot just simply snipe my shipyard.
Construction has begun.
I'm not sure if it has an effect on what ships you can actually build, but I've decided to put it back down anyway, because it's always useful to have a couple of shipyards, because if you have to repair your fleet, it's always good to have one or two, I suppose. As you can see, I'm running short on dilithium here, and to sort that, I obviously build a metal mining facility. Don't really know what I was thinking there, but I think it was just a case of get as much stuff down as possible.
We have a new ship for the fleet.
I'll take out a bunch of Cardassian ships here, and M-class planet and dilithium moon are going to be things that I really want to get my hands on quite quickly. Also, the one thing you can build from normal shipyards are colony ships, and I am going to need some of those as well.
We have a new ship for the fleet.
K-Rals continue to pop out. I've got half a dozen sitting in the base at the moment, which is good. And the Latinum continues to come in from the nebula.
We do not have enough resources.
They are quite expensive, these colony ships. They're about 400 dilithium, I think.
Beginning construction.
And let's get the construction ship to the next planet. And as you can see, this is a Cardassian world at the moment, so we'll have to get the fleet to sort that out. And I've also limped a construction ship all the way over here. And we're going to build another metal mining facility here, which will allow us to... If you can't get a load of dilithium, the best thing to do is just get a shed load of metal and trade it in, I suppose.
Station construction has begun.
So, it's another metal mining facility going in. And I'm going to use my K-Rals just to remove the Cardassians from this world. M-class planets are just great for your crew resources, so makes things that much better for you. And there we go, the colony ship will now take over the planet. And this is all really close to my base at the moment, so just making sure the Cardassians don't have any eyes or ears anywhere near me. And in fact, there's another place where we can mine metal.
Immediately.
And we're going to get a very seriously huge amount of metal coming from our planets, but that's absolutely fine. Just the trading station is going to help us an awful lot in this situation. And finally, we've limped over here to the dilithium moon, and we're going to build a dilithium refinery here, and this is going to pretty much mean that we're set up to be able to do whatever we want to do. 2 dilithium moons, 3 metal planets, absolutely fine. And if I can take this 4th planet as well up here, which is rather close to the Cardassians, but fortunately they haven't colonised it yet, so that's just absolutely amazing. And taking that as well is just going to make sure that we are 100% settled for the rest of this mission. And the fact that we're now settled means that I can start building Natevars. And we will take that Cardassian base to the west at the to the east at the earliest opportunity. And in fact, here is that Cardassian base to the east, and this is their major presence in this third of the map, so I want to get rid of it ASAP. This fleet that I've got is still mainly Vulture class cruisers, so it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to take out the majority of this Cardassian base, especially since they seem to have Legate class ships just absolutely firing a bucket load of stuff into my fleet, causing pretty major damage to me here. But the main objective of this fleet is to try and get rid of the turrets, and then get rid of the Legate class ships as well. And if I can do that, that will clear the way for a sort of secondary fleet to come in here. There's no way that I can take on a starbase with this fleet. I would need at least double what I've got here. But taking out all the certainly the plasma torpedo launchers is making things, or is going to make things a lot easier for me.
We do not have enough resources.
I do need to get rid of that Legate class ship though. It's very, very irritating.
Beginning construction. Destroy the cowards.
There we go. We got rid of most of those, and the starbase has just opened fire. So it is time to run. Sorry, make a strategic withdrawal. Can't say run if you're a Klingon. But as you can see, I've been fairly busy back here, and I've lost pretty much all my Vulture class attack cruisers, but they've been replaced with a pretty hefty replacement of K-Rals and Nate-Vars, so we shall continue the assault at this point. I haven't yet researched ion cannon, so I'm going to sort that out now. Nate-Vars are obviously much more effective when they have the ion cannon available to them. Otherwise they're pretty much just big K-Rals, which doesn't really help that much.
We have a new ship for the fleet. We do not have enough resources.
And there we go, weapon upgrade about to happen as well. So we are pretty tight on resources still at the moment, but if we can remove the Cardassians from where they are there's going to be plenty of resources for us to have. And that's going to be one of the major points of this yeah. Just a little bit of thought on playing as the Klingons overall. I think that I enjoyed playing as the Federation more. I think that the Federation have a little bit more flexibility in terms of what's good and not. The Klingons are very one-dimensional in this game, really, and that dimension is just face forward and attack. You saw me as the Federation. I could use their special ships if I wanted to. I just didn't a lot, but I could use them if I wanted to. With the Klingons, you're pretty much limited to all balls out aggression, pretty much, for the most part.
Our planet is under attack.
And speaking of balls out aggression, I charged in here even without the ion cannon, because I'm probably still fine. And Starbase has lost shields, and come on. There it goes. I'm going to take over this Cardassian advanced shipyard, even though there's very little point to doing it. I am going to take over, because it does provide me with a repair facility actually close to where I am, rather than limping my ships all the way home. And now it's just a case of finishing off all these Cardassian buildings. I love it when the Keldons start doing barrel rolls when they're dying. And just a few more buildings to finish off, and we should be pretty secure up here.
Will be paved with their ashes.
But it is a very, you know, it's very similar ways of playing the game, to tell you the truth.
I thirst for battle.
You know, it's build up fleet of certain tier ships, attack, and then just steamroll as much as possible. As you can see, I've built some repair ships which will allow me to repair this Cardassian advanced shipyard, which will mean it can repair ships, and now I've got an annoyance on my hands, otherwise known as a Legate class cruiser. Hate those things. I really hate those things. And we've also secured this dilithium moon as well, so overcome my dilithium freighters. And for some inexplicable reason, I've left that plasma turret there rather than destroying it, and it's going to cause me no end of bleeding trouble. Another metal mining facility at my planet here. So as you can see, the turret's firing at my ships, and I think I'm going to lose this one. Yep. Yeah, I really didn't think very well about this, to tell you the truth. And yeah, that was unnecessary. That's called Boomer getting annoyed and throwing a tantrum. Repair ship still going at this advanced shipyard.
I thirst for battle.
But it is quite useful having a repair facility this close to the front line. Unfortunately, I can't build any Cardassian ships, which is annoying, but can't have everything. And I'm trying to get rid of every Cardassian ship in my area, but you'll certainly soon see what's causing all these Cardassian ships to come into the area.
Begin repairs on that station. A battle has begun.
Yet more repair facilities.
Greythor will be paved with their ashes.
Some galores.
Greythor will be paved with their ashes. The day will be ours.
And they're going to not win that fight, shall we say?
Let loose the dogs of war.
And I think that's pretty much removed any Cardassian presence now.
Let loose the dogs of war.
And as you can see, the amount of metal I've got has just skyrocketed, and so has the just basically all my materials, just due to having so much coverage of the map now. And there we go, fully repaired station. And let's just get these couple of derelict ships, because I don't really want to be destroying derelict ships at this point in time. You can see how damaged these ships are. It's pretty bad. But really what I want to do is just get life support functioning again, and that means that I can beam crew over to them and they'll start working again. And I think there's another K-RAL there which needs their attention. Yep. Again, this one was pretty busted as well, but at least it's now going to be back on its feet and save myself some work. And just in time for me to repair everything, my construction ship has limped over here. And I'm going to be able to build some stations over here, dilithium for the most part. And I'm building a second star base at the northern point, because at the northwest point, because that's where the Cardassians are going to attack me. And here you can see in the northeast area, that's a wormhole, and that's where the Cardassians are coming from, and that's where we're going to have to go.
Sensors have detected the presence of a Species 8472 warship.
Well, that's not good. And it's kind of a gimmick of this level that the Cardassians will attack with Species 8472, and this is their, this is kind of the gimmick of the level. And fortunately, this isn't Scorpion, so Species 8472 ships are fairly easily destroyed if you've got like star bases and big ships around. If you weren't prepared for that sort of attack, that could really be a problem, because they just warp straight in on top of your base and make themselves a pain in the backside.
Station construction has begun.
But that's another 2 dilithium moons that have been seized, so we will be putting that to very good use. And I'm also going to blockade that wormhole so that we have just complete and utter free reign on the map now. And as you can see, this fleet that I have now is fairly substantial, and it's just going to keep building up. Keep them Natvars coming. No infinite moons in this level, so I'm afraid that we're on playing fair in inverted commas. That means just stealing everything on the map. And one final star base here, which will completely blockade the wormhole, and I'm going to put some sensor platforms around here as well, which will help us with the defence of the area, and recrew it, because I don't want to have to deal with the shields falling. But yeah, now I've got 2 M-class planets and 3 star bases up, so I'm pretty confident in the amount of crew that I'm going to be able to crank out in this mission.
A new battle station is complete.
And as you can see, my dilithium is rocketing up at a fantastic rate now. And I'm also going to rebuild my advanced shipyard closer to the front lines,
Right away.
rather than having it over here.
I thirst for battle.
I'm still going to leave a skeleton fleet over here because there's
A battle has begun.
no real reason to let Species 8472 have a free shot at me. But I'm certainly going to
Drive them before us.
be moving the vast majority of my construction over.
Station
As you can see,
construction
Species
has
8472 weren't that big of a threat, but I do need to have some defences there. And at the wormhole, the Cardassians do try and sneak through, including having some cloak ships at their disposal, which is why I have to put sensor turrets there. And it looks like I've run out my first dilithium refinery, so I am going to recycle that, and that'll give me some officers and some dilithium back, which will allow me to rebuild even more. It is, even though we're 20 missions into the game, I do still feel like it's important to mention that you really do have to recycle a lot in this game. As you can see, just stuff blowing up around the starbase. It also gives me the ability to disassemble the Cardassian shipyard, which is awesome,
power to the engines.
because that just gives me more resources. And with a load of repair ships and a load of Natvars at my disposal, it's time to go Cardassian hunting. And here they come through the wormhole, and they're all getting met by my starbase and by my fleet.
I thirst for battle.
That's just not going to go well for them at all now. There's no way into the sector. And that's a big fleet heading through that wormhole. As long as I don't get plastered by a dreadnought missile, I'm pretty sure I'm in a really good spot here. I am going to take it quite slowly, bug there, but I am going to take this quite slowly and try and split my fleet out, because there is still the possibility of a dreadnought missile being in there. And even though dreadnought missiles are kind of hard to aim, in that they don't really, can I put it, they don't really contribute a huge amount of damage, or they don't do a huge amount of damage unless they're fired at a stationary target that isn't ready for them, like I wasn't ready for them in the previous mission. They can still do a huge amount of damage if you're unprepared. So my idea at this point was either to try and split the fleet, or at least get into the Cardassian bases, which meant that if they did use a dreadnought missile, they'd wipe out their own base as well as my fleet, which, although it's not ideal, at least it does help me somewhat.
The day will be ours.
I still don't get engine upgrades, and that's one thing that I really think I need to do in this mission a lot more, is use engine upgrades, because Natvars, especially top tier ships, are just painfully slow. And I'm not sure if the Borg can upgrade like that, but if they can, I would definitely be using engines, because boy oh boy are Borg ships slow. It's been a while since I've played as the Borg. Sad fact is that I don't have Locutus's cube like I did in Star Trek Armada 1, which basically overpowered everything on its own. Which I suppose for balance purposes is a good reason not to have it. I suppose once I'm at warp, a dreadnought missile can't hurt me either, so it's a case of being very careful about what I see on the screen. If I see one of those small cylinders coming, the idea is to try and hit my warp drive as fast as possible, or at least The other option, of course, is to destroy it when I see it, but we are just upgrading everything at the moment. I have level 3 sensors. I always get level 3 sensors.
Sensors are picking up multiple species 8472 vessels.
Well, here they come again, but now they're against 2 star bases, so they're going to fare even worse than they did last time. Yeah, that didn't work tremendously well.
The day will be ours.
And
the day will be ours.
that's how I always get level 3 sensors when I'm up against the Cardassians. I think that's just sense, to tell you the truth.
The day will be ours.
You can see me being a little bit paranoid at the moment because dreadnought missiles are pretty hard to see if you're zoomed out the way that I am. And I mean, they're even harder if you're zoomed in, because by the time you see them, they're right on top of your fleet. So they are a bit of a pain, that's to be said. But it looks like we've got rid of the middle third of the map now, so it's just down onto the final third. Cardassians are a little bit too spread out in this final third. As you can see, I could take over this entire second half of the map, but I don't really see the need at this point in time. I think that I will pretty comfortably take the entire map without it. Plasma turret having a go at me here, but it's up against a full fleet of Natvars, so that's not going to help it.
Greythor will be paved with their ashes.
And once again, being a little bit careful, trying to stay at impulse to get maximum sensor range. That's one of the other reasons why I got level 3 sensors, because if I'm going to see a dreadnought missile coming, I want to see it at the longest range possible.
For battle. For honor.
But I decide at this point I'm just going to make a charge straight into the centre of the Cardassian base. It's pretty obvious where it's located because this is a final mission, so it's going to be located, let's say, towards the bottom right there. And still being somewhat cautious, splitting my fleet out a little bit. And I don't know why those Cardassian ships were chasing me. I mean, it's not like they had a chance against a fleet that size. Maybe they just want to keep dibs on me. Get that construction ship destroyed before it finishes the trading station. Oh, it looks like the Cardassians were trying to do a little bit of expanding. It looks like they're going to fail doing that. And we are approaching the denouement now.
Let loose the dogs of war.
A battle has begun.
Yep, still small ships though, no Gallas, no Keldons. Well, there's a Galore, but there's not a lot of them, to tell you the truth. I'd have expected a lot more resistance than what we're finding here. Again, trying to keep the fleet spread out, I really am paranoid about a dreadnought missile at this point, just ruining my plans. I don't know why. I mean, look at my resources there. I could build more Jack-Engs than the Cardassians would actually be able to deal with. If I had something like Transwarp Portal, that'd make this completely broken. But now I decide it's just time to charge straight in there, and we'll be able to see the Cardassian main base soon enough. Still got their small little scouts out there, and here we go. We can see the planet, so inching forward one bit at a time.
We have a new ship for the fleet.
Give the Patah his due.
Here we go.
For the Empire.
This looks like it, yep. And now it's time for the final battle. There's Gul Kentar's ship right there, so we're going to have to deal with that. But first of all, let's deal with these star bases. Let's go.
Greythor will be paved with their
Gul Kentar's ship is fleeing the system.
No, it's not. Gul Kentar's ship just exploded in a big fiery ball. And there's the Quantum Singularity Research Centre, and boy am I losing ships at a rapid rate here. And my ships for some reason aren't firing on anything. Ugh. So annoying. Right, there goes the starbase, and it's time to get rid of that Quantum Singularity Research Centre. And that's going to be it for the Klingon Campaign, guys, and I will see you next time for the start of the Borg.
I thirst for battle. The day will be ours.
We are victorious. Lord Kantar is dead, and the Quantum Singularity facility has been destroyed. I am ordering our fleets back into the Union, so we may firmly re-establish our authority over the Cardassians. I am certain that Species 8472 will never again return to the Alpha Quadrant.